Hello everyone and welcome to the iWoman Report. I'm Cathleen Trigg-Jones coming to you live from our iWoman Broadcast Center in New York City. Today we are talking about financial literacy. 8-figure incomes, financial planning, stocks, 7 streams of income, investments, budgets, stimulus packages. I think we can all agree that we can't go a day without at least one of these things becoming the topic of conversations, news headlines, or social media posts. Whether you sink or swim, it is inevitable that your finances are just a complex part of life. But what are all these new financial trends and what do they really mean? We're going to dive deep into the conversation with a financial expert a little later. But right now, can we just talk about the history that was made last week with the 2 most powerful women in the United States government sitting front and center as President Joe Biden delivered his State of the Union address?
Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, no president has ever said those words from this podium. No president has ever said those words, and it's about time.
This week, we're kicking off a segment called Give Them Their Roses Now, and these roses are from Madam Vice President Harris and Speaker Nancy Pelosi for being the first. And here's a special one for you too, Mr. President, for acknowledging the power that women yield. Joining me now to bask in the glory of seeing these 2 powerful women step into their spotlight is former editor for Newsweek and the New York Times, Ms. Karen Fragala Smith. Thank you. Thank you for finally coming on the iWoman Report.
I'm so happy to be here. Yeah. What a great moment last night. That was amazing.
It was a good day. It felt really good, right?
Yes, yes. And I'm also particularly happy to see these 2 women, not just any women standing behind the president, but women who have spent their whole careers really fighting for the rights of ordinary people, for a more an inclusive and just society. And I really feel like we're getting back on the right track.
Yeah, and kudos to President Biden for taking a pause at the beginning of the State of the Union address and just acknowledging this. It's not something that we should just sweep under the rug. This is a really big moment for women, not just here in this country, but for women worldwide to see this kind of power.
Yes, as Mr. President said, it's about time, and yes, it is. But, you know, things happen. Real change in society happens gradually. It's a process. And this is a really important moment in this process.
It is. You know, you and I were just talking about that in the back where I was saying that, you know, there are few leaders in time who've stepped outside of the norm in a bold way, in a very unpopular way, and really made change. Ones I can think of are Abraham Lincoln.
Yep.
You know, Martin Luther King. I mean, the list can go on and on. I can name so many people, but the bottom line is this is not really the most popular move for a white male president to be making, and yet he's making it with such a bold way.
Yes, I appreciate his courage, and I also appreciate his dedication to values. I think that's what we need to get back to, and that he really he was on the front lines of you know, gay rights. He is really somebody who's willing to he lives his truth, and I appreciate that about him.
Yeah. So is it enough? Is it enough? And where do you see women going in the future?
It's definitely not enough, but it's a good start. I'll take it. Women are going all the way to the top. We know from studies, United Nations has done a lot of research, that societies that are led by women are more just, they're more prosperous, obviously more inclusive of every member of society, and that is what we need. For those who aspire to make America great, that is what we need, is for every member of society to be able to find their role, and I'm really excited to have this team in place.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Absolutely. Here to women everywhere.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Karen, and we'll be seeing you again. You have to come
pleasure.
back.
I'd love to.
Right. April 1st kicked off the 17th annual Financial Literacy Month. Today on our iWoman Report, we're going to be hearing from a banking specialist on how to digest and simplify the conversation around your finances so that you can own the room when it comes to your money and hopefully begin to save a penny or two as well. Which brings me to our question of the day. Should financial literacy and planning be an educational requirement? Answer yes or no on the screen and send us your comments at iWomanTV. I mean, think about it. We learn so much in school that we may never apply to real life. At least we're still trying to figure out when we would. But things like financial literacy and planning, how to balance a checkbook, make a spreadsheet for your bills, and understanding your credit card debt are not taught in school, and they're not required, which might explain why so many of us are in debt and have had bad credit. Take it from Adrienne Bailon from The View, who says she was flat out broke and had to do a complete reset to pull her life together, financially speaking.
Again, I'm telling you that being informed and being educated in certain areas is super duper important. Till this day, I am an advocate for schools, actually, instead of teaching us things that we will never use, people need to actually learn about finances. It should be a required thing. It should be mandatory that you learn about how to build credit, how to keep your credit score great.
Yes, Adrienne, let's give it up for the well thought out and planned spending challenge. I mean, right? We challenge ourselves to do everything else, lose weight, stop drinking, stay positive, stay negative, whatever. So why not challenge those spending habits, ladies? You can hear more about Adrienne's money challenges and also how she turned her finances around on her YouTube channel, All Things Money. Make sure you support her and follow her on YouTube. All right, well, according to a report by usnews.com, as of today, the national unemployment rate is 6%. Surprisingly, despite the pandemic, 27 states actually have unemployment rates that are lower than the U.S. average, but that still means that 9.7 million Americans are unemployed, and nearly half of them are women. For many of you, those numbers may sound a little scary, but what does this really mean? And more importantly, as women, how can we protect ourselves financially? Leading author and working woman advocate Otega Uwagba put it quite simply. She said, quote, "Being financially literate is a powerful thing, especially for women." And I couldn't agree more. Our first guest today is Sherkera Green, who is a regional market director for Chase Manhattan Bank. She provides executive leadership for retail, business, and wealth banking operations for the company's Lower West Side market, which includes 300 employees working more than 10 retail banking branches in New York City. And she's also the chairwoman of the board of the Essex County, New Jersey chapter of the Urban League. Hey, Sherkera.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us. And I understand you have a big gala to get ready for tonight.
I do. It is our annual gala, virtual gala that we're having. Of course, due to COVID, everything is virtual. So I'm excited, and so is the league.
Good. Well, thank you so much for making time for us. Let's dive right into it. We're talking about women managing money. Why is this such a difficult conversation for ladies?
When you think about finances, it's such an intimate topic, right? It's so personal. We don't want people to know whether we have it or maybe there's a lack of. 46% of Americans say that they do not have $400 saved for retirement. We have 80% of Americans that said that they were living paycheck to paycheck, and these numbers are pre-COVID. 81% of women are household breadwinners. So I think the statistics are there that show us why having the conversation with money is so important. But I think as we continue to create a safe environment for women, we can begin to open up, be honest, and share, because men share. They share on the golf course. They share in the group chat. They share amongst their circles. I think it's just a matter of building and creating that trust factor.
Right. What are some of the key things? If you could say, here are the top 3 things that I need to make sure that every woman is thinking about in order to be financially savvy, what would those things be?
To create a budget. Create a budget and create financial goals. Making sure that your goals are SMART. So SMART stands for, the S is for specific, the M is for measurable, the A is making sure that your goals are attainable, the R is making sure that you're being realistic, and then the last letter is T, which is timely. So oftentimes we set goals and we say, I want to go on a trip. Okay, well, how do you make that goal more SMART? What specifically, how much money do you need to save for this trip? How much can you realistically afford to put away? Are you going to put money away weekly, bi-weekly, monthly? So just making sure that you have those goals in line, but making sure that they're smart. I say I live by a budget. It doesn't matter how much money you make. Everyone should have some type of budget. And when you do it, you sit and you allocate all of your expenses from most expensive to least expensive. And then you basically see how can I reduce that specific liabilities? That's the purpose of the budget. And I look at my budget and advise that others look at their budget quarterly, if not monthly, because sometimes there's different times in our life where we have to make adjustments. For instance, I know summertime, I'm going to spend more money because my kids are in camp and camp is expensive. I prepare for that with my budget, right? So aside from having a budget and financial goals, how do you leverage your credit? Credit allows you purchasing power. And my credit is also a part of my saving strategy. So I'll give you a couple examples. I pay any and everything that I can with my credit card. And then I pay the entire credit card off before the 28th day of the month. And I do that so that I can accrue points. And then I use those points and redeem them for either gift cards to offset my gas expense, or if I'm traveling, I can comp an airline ticket or a hotel. But again, credit just allows you to do so much, and it goes really hand in hand with your saving strategy.
That's such an interesting tidbit right there, that fact right there, because it goes against what many of us were taught growing up. First thing I told my son when he went off to college is don't open up a credit card. But then I said to my husband, let's open up a credit card for him and pay it off every month, because now we're establishing credit for him.
Exactly. I have a similar story. When I went to college freshman year, there were some folks sitting at a table and they were offering, I think you got like a free water bottle or t-shirt if you signed up for the Discover card. And boy, did I discovered everything I shouldn't have done. But those experiences shape us, they make us, we learn from them and we grow from them. And now we're more savvy. And that's the importance of financial literacy, is getting information and knowledge out to a greater group of people so that they can make smart and savvy decisions around their financial plan.
And sharing it, like pass it along. Don't keep that, don't hoard that information, share it. We're coming out of a pandemic right now, and a lot of people's credit lines, to their surprise, have been reduced. If you have a little extra money right now, should you be paying off your credit cards, or should you try to hold on to that money, because when you pay it off, they may then reduce your credit line?
So it depends on the circumstance. You see more of that happening, I'm going to be honest, around business lines of credits and business products, because the banks are being super conservative, lenders are being conservative. We know that everyone's business right now are a little bit, it's a little bit more riskier. Right. On a consumer side, it's happening, but not at the same rate. So I would say definitely try to stay within the rule of thumb is being below 35 to 40% of your debt to income ratio, right? So that means not over exceeding yourself. Another thing that I live by is the 5 C's to credit, right? So do we understand the 5 C's to credit and how our lender is thinking about credit? The first C is character. What's your character? Do you pay your bills on time? Everything that's on that first page of your credit report that shows your history, your addresses, your employer, everything that's on it, that speaks to your character. The next C would be capacity. So what's the capacity? What's the debt to income ratio? Again, don't over exceed, for me, 35%, but the max anyone I would recommend is not going over that 42% mark. The next C is understanding capital, like how much are you putting down in a transaction? If you're buying a home, is it FHA? Are you doing it 3.5%, 5%, 10%? Is it conventional? The last C is the conditions, right? So what's the interest rate? What's the APR? Do you need a co-borrow? So when a lender is thinking to approve someone for credit, they're keeping in mind the 5 C's to credit. So I always try to educate people to understand how a lender is thinking.
Wow. So you have a little bit of extra money. You maybe got a bonus. You've been lucky enough to keep a job during this time. Should you start investing in stocks? And what's the easiest way for someone who's never invested in stocks, really knows very little about the stock market? What would be the easiest way for them to even get in the game?
If you were one who had some extra money to invest within this past year, I know personally, myself and some of my girlfriends really came up on some investments. I absolutely think that you should do some investing. The first first thing you should do is go in and see your banker, right? Sit down with your personal banker and your financial advisor. I don't care what institution you bank with. Usually everyone offers at least one free consultation so that they can really sit down and understand your entire portfolio. That person will help you and make advice as to how much you should be investing. Age plays a big part of it. Should you be on a more conservative side, or could you take a little bit more of a risk if you're a younger person and have more long-term, right? I think what people forget is that investing is a long-term strategy. It's not something that, can happen overnight. So you need to be thinking short-term versus long-term, but you really need to understand what you're doing and how you're getting involved. So my rule of thumb is sit with a financial advisor, get some coaching, get some feedback, and let them help you. Let the experts help you and give you some advice. One last thing I think that people forget, for me, I'm very passionate about real estate investing. I think that's the easiest way for the average person to build wealth. And this was a great time to get involved also with real estate. Interest rates were great. If you can get your hands on an investment property and figure out other ways to generate extra additional income, great time to do that.
Do it. My last question for you, Madam Banker, is we asked the question earlier, should financial literacy and financial planning be a required subject in school? We learn about everything else, but we really sometimes don't necessarily learn this really important life tip, because you without good credit, you have almost nothing in life. You don't have freedom. So should this be a requirement? Should you have to learn how to balance a checkbook, how to be financially sound in school?
It should 100% be in the school educational system. We absolutely have to teach our children. A lot of people are coming out of college educated, but with massive debt, and they really just don't know. So even if you get that dream job and you're making that dream salary that you always wanted, you need to know what to do with that money, how to budget it, how to balance it. So it should 100% be involved in schools.
Wow, I figured you would say that. And you'll have to come back, because I'd love to do something just on what to teach your children about financial literacy. So that's a really good place to end, but promise you'll come back.
Absolutely. Whenever you want me, I am there. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Aside from stepping into a Chase Bank branch, how can people find you if they want more information?
So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very active with my audience. You can find me Sherkera Green, Sherkera. Last name is Green, no E at the end. And I'm also on Instagram. I am Sherkera Green, _Sherkera Green. So look forward to chatting with everyone.
Awesome. Sherkera, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye. Take care.
Hopefully you all were writing that down. SMART and CCC. Remember those, ladies. All right, well, a 2018 study conducted by the Pew Research Center found that here in the United States, on average, women earn just 85% of what their male counterparts earn. And that number is even lower, 55 cents on the dollar for Black and Hispanic women. And sadly, not only do women earn less than men, well, they also save less than men. But they live longer, and they have more long-term and overall health care expenses on top of the same living expenses as men. So we've got to get educated, ladies. Irma Ogwing Jr., co-founder and co-CEO of Bitwise, broke it down for Forbes magazine.
Oh, dead wrong. They think that talent looks a very specific way, right? Like there's no pipeline problem. The reason that we're not fixing the diversity problem in the technology industry is because we expect that talent to look like what we have always hired. And if you disabuse yourself of that notion, suddenly the whole world becomes your talent pool.
All right, ladies, I am so excited to introduce our brand new entertainment report with my dear friend and multimedia on-air personality, author, wife, mom, and music director for New York's #1 hip-hop radio station, Hot 97. Hey, TT, welcome to the iWoman Report.
Thank you, Kathleen. I am excited to join the iWoman family and bring you all the latest entertainment news. Let's get started. This week, one of America's beloved good girls in Hollywood, Reese Witherspoon, shed light on the positive image the media has played in her career, but how easily her reputation could have been skewed in the opposite direction. Witherspoon decided to speak out about the unfair treatment of her peers in her latest interview with Time magazine. Reese's response also follows the release of the documentary Framing Britney Spears by the New York Times. In her interview with the publication, Witherspoon stated, "What if the media had decided I was something else? I would be in a totally different position. I want to say it's my decision or the career choices I made, but felt very arbitrary and kind of shitty. Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, Britney Spears." Witherspoon also came to the defense of frequently ridiculed and stalked by the paparazzi. Witherspoon also touched on the fact that the paparazzi would only follow her to places like church and her children's soccer games to feed into the good girl image they wanted her to portray. Reese, I commend you, girl. Super husband and dad Alex Ohanian was trending Wednesday after responding to a fan who tweeted, "I love how you don't mind that they call you Serena Williams' husband." He had an epic response, tweeting back, "I'll be a self-made billionaire one day, and most people will still know me as Serena's husband or Olympia's dad, and that's fine by me." He got me at the self-made billionaire part. "I just love to see men publicly loving on their wives and children. Yes, Alex, keep placing your leading ladies on a pedestal. We approve." In other news, CBS The Talk has been making headlines just 2 weeks after former co-host Sharon Osbourne's exit from the show. Co-host Carrie Ann also announced a temporary exit from the talk show to focus on her well-being. Osbourne's exit came after a heated on-air feud about racism with Cheryl Underwood. We're wishing you all the best, Carrie. I'm TT Torrez, and that wraps up our weekly iWoman Entertainment Report. Kathleen, thank you.
Thank you, TT. I guess it looks like there's a couple of seats available on the talk, huh?
Yeah, and I think me and you will be great for them.
Why not? Or maybe we'll just do our own thing. Who knows?
Right.
Have a great weekend, TT. Thank you.
You too.
And that brings me to my thought of the day. I don't know about you, but I was beside myself as I watched the Oscars and saw so many unlikely stars get their moment to shine. Women who've been doing amazing things behind the scenes for many, many years finally being recognized. Black women and other minorities winning in categories that we sometimes don't even hear about on the show. But the award that really made me take pause and feel like we just may be getting somewhere was the Oscar for hair and makeup. Mia Neal and Jamaica Wilson, not only because they became the first Black women to win, but they're also the first to ever even be nominated in the hair and makeup category. That's not because they're the first Black women to ever create such amazing looks behind the scenes of a top show, but it's because a conscious decision was made somewhere to finally take a look outside the walls of what's considered the so-called norm in Hollywood and even the playing field. As someone who's spent my entire career on camera as a Black actress and host, yet witnessed firsthand the scarcity of Black faces getting the opportunity to head the hair and makeup and wardrobe departments of many major productions, it felt damn good to see the contributions of these two queens finally get the recognition that they deserve. And Neal's acceptance speech was the epitome of a class act. So I leave you today with part of that speech and a simple thought: to whom much is given, much is required. Continue to shine your light, ladies, and make sure you remember to reach back and pull as many others up with you as you possibly can. Thank you all for watching, everyone. Please continue to follow us at iWomanTV, and everyone, please stay healthy, stay happy, and stay safe.
So I want to say thank you to our ancestors who put the work in, were denied, but never gave up. And I also stand here as Jamaica and I break this glass ceiling with so much excitement for the future. Because I can picture Black trans women standing up here, and Asian sisters, and our Latina sisters, and Indigenous women. And I know that one day it won't be unusual or groundbreaking. It will just be normal.